Greetings and welcome to the Goblin Slayer, where today I shall tell you a story of Halloween. More specifically, a Halloween one-shot. Yes, that's right. And spoilers, everyone dies. But that's no surprise. And it takes place in a cliche, one and only spooky mansion. Sorry, we had no money for the lightning sound effects. Sorry. The cast for this specific one-shot was Gigi, the heir, Father, a priest, Grumpy, an accountant, and Vlad, a maintenance guy who's actually a burglar. And the system we played was Dungeon Crawl Classic. Very tough system, very brutal, we love it. And we all had only 1 HP because the D4 ticked us over, and I will get you for that, you pyramid-shaped piece of shit. We arrived in the mansion, and we were soon greeted by an old servant. He seemed like a really nice guy. Like this is him. He's really nice and he's old and I love him. And he showed Vlad a lot. He just kind of showed everybody around actually. And we went about doing our business. Vlad went to do maintenance. Actually, he went to steal stuff. And Grumpy just sat around and. Father blessed the place while carrying an axe, and Gigi did her thing. While waiting for the servant to get some food, the village was 30 minutes away, but for some reason he was gone for 1.5 hours, which is out of place and weird. And we soon found him standing ominously in front of a window, and it was creepy, and nobody decided to approach him until we did and discovered something absolutely horrendous and sad. And oh god, old man, why? No, why, old man, why? Half of his fate had been gnawed off by something, and instead of running like reasonable people or burning down the fucking place, we decided, you know what, we're gonna investigate this. It's interesting. It could be a ghost or giant rats. And soon we started hearing scratching on the walls, and we tried to escape it upstairs, and, well, it was quiet. And 30 minutes of investigation later, we discovered that in the basement there was a family crypt, and beneath the family crypt were some natural caverns. And Grumpy led the way with a candle, and without noticing anything, he fell into a hole filled with bones, which is creepy. And we made some makeshift rope and pulled him out of there. But during his time in there, he saw something weird and terrifying, and he kept his revolver close at hand, just to not get eaten. They were some weird, hunch-over, goblin-like beings, but it didn't seem right because goblins were not part of the Romanian mythology, and soon we found a diary that told this tale of one of Gigi's ancestors who, during his trip in Caribbean, ate long pig or human flesh, and soon his descendants also took up this horrid habit. Absolutely horrid. Like one of them even killed all the servants and his family just to get some food. And apparently there was some kind of breeding involved, but nobody knows for sure. And we started discovering these tunnels in the walls that the servants had apparently used long ago, and in those tunnels we found all these scratch marks, which explains the scratching we'd heard. And we realized we need to run. And during our exit, we run into some very, very creepy villagers. Like these guys. They were very creepy and scary, and oh god, mom, help me. And they were carrying around a dead goblin, because that's what we call them, they were goblins. And turns out, shockingly enough, like very shocking to everyone, even Gigi, was that these were her relatives, Gigi's relatives, that's right. Like, and also weirdly enough, also the villagers were her relatives, and it was like they started explaining how the Cannibal Noble has started to do whoopee with the servants, who then did the whoopee with their descendants, and for 200 years it continued and created these Alabama mutant cannibals. And just underground in those caverns they resided, and from this blasphemy the father went mad, and he took his axe and he started hacking the wall in absolute rage. Well, the scratching was still there, so you can guess what happened. The goblins attacked and tore him apart. Well, rest in peace, father. We're gonna miss you. No, we're not. But like Vlad, seeing the death of the father, he was just mad. He was just mad. He was like, no way, Suka! I ain't letting you live! And that's when he pulled out his blowtorch and started setting places on fire. And then the whole manor was ablaze. And then the goblins started to attack from the hills, having dug out of the hillside. And then everybody made their final stand. GT was eaten first, and so were the villagers. Vlad chucked down the whole bottle of vodka while Grumpy was being eaten, and he died with a knife in hand like a true Slav. And that concludes the one-shot. Everybody died, and it was absolutely horrible, and I hope you like this story, and I will see you later.